her plans from Soweto to Lagos, Nairobi to the Cape. She's rewriting the stories they said she couldn't shape. Moms rising in Africa.
We are in conversation with greatness. This is Lerato Sithole, the founder of Think and Grow Rich Africa. I always bring you greatness at its best, but what is important is that I bring you greatness that is African. And you know what we've got in Africa, the minerals, we put them through fire. So I bring you greatness that has been tried, tested, and that has not just stood by default, but that has made a choice to stand. So we have today again our guest, Aida Diarra, who has really taken us through the building blocks, the foundation of what shaped her greatness. What I loved about what we did within our previous conversation is I came up with something that I think is going to stand, just like the gold, the copper, the platinum, the diamonds, it will stand. And it is a dare to be remarkable. That's the title that we're going about. Dare to be remarkable. So what shapes us, what makes us is what is in our mind, the choices that we make, and really to decide how do we want to see Africa with the power that has been given to us, with the space that we are in. And today we are going to spend a bit more time to just check on the part that she had in shaping organizations and industries that we didn't even know how they were shaped. We go and we pay, and like, where's my Visa card? Where's my, I want to pass on my funds from this country to that country, and we don't know the power that sits behind there. And what I love is that even if these things are done from America and other countries, but the power behind them is an African power. And we are sitting with that power right here. Greatness in life, coming and showing up in that way. So welcome once again, Aida.
Thank you so much.
And we are looking forward to hearing more about life after university. And yeah, maybe you want to greet our guest and just say a few words before we get into it.
First, it's a privilege to be with you. The journey is extraordinary. As I always tell you, I'm not so sure about greatness, but very driven about having impact and, showing the best that the continent has to offer. And there's definitely a lot happening. And it's been a privilege to be part of an extraordinary journey. The greatness has been about the people I have had the privilege to work with.
Yes.
That I've been day in, day out, driving a strategy, driving an agenda with passion, with courage, with belief that they would continue to transform the continent. So that has been the journey.
You do know that there's probably a little girl out there who says, when I grow up, I want to be, and then they lose words and they say, I want to be Aida. Because they can't describe. It's so rich. It has done so many things, so they don't know which of the roles they can choose. Then they just decide to term it into Aida. But I want to term it and say when they grow up, they want to be remarkable. That's what I want to term it as. The foundations that shaped you, the part that I probably want to borrow again from your upbringing is, did you have a purpose? Did you decide what your why is?
I don't know that it was clear to me from the start. And it probably took some time for me to put a framework and words around it. But I think there were like certain things that I was exposed to that probably shaped what I wanted to do and what I ended up enjoying doing. The first one is a deep sense of wanting to have impact.
Yeah.
I come back to it.
It
Yeah.
comes back to that, yeah.
I think you can only have a bigger impact when the point of departure is low.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can define what low is.
Yeah.
But it's more where you are compared to where you want to be.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's that gap
Yeah.
that gives you room to want to transform and be part of a journey. There's also, you know, pride about who you are.
Yes. About being an African.
Yeah. There are things that you can't change. I'm going to give you anecdotes where, as I was going to university, people didn't want to be sitting next to me.
Okay.
As simple as that.
Why?
Because I was different. I was black. At
Wow.
university.
Right,
I
right.
promise you.
And you were in France.
I was in
Yeah.
France.
Yeah.
In starting my first year in economics at school. This is my experience. Yeah. People are just taking the stuff, moving because it's you. Not one time, not twice,
Many times.
many times.
Almost a lifetime at that time.
At
In
that
that
time.
season, yeah.
Yeah. Then you have to decide what you do with that. Yeah. Do you pack your bags and you go because you're offended? No. Do you start crying because life is unfair? Certainly not. Yeah. So that rebel in me, going back to some of the previous conversations we had, is to say, I'm just going to be the best I can be. I'm just going to be the best I can be. I can't change my environment. I cannot let that environment decide for me who I am. Let me show up with everything I have, yeah? Then we pass tests, the grade comes. My little self, with all my blackness and my difference,
Yes.
have the best grades out there. And people turn around and say, oh, who is this? Who is this woman? So maybe she deserves that, I sit next to her. If this is what it's going to take for you to want to do that, that's your problem. But I'm not going to change who I am. I'm not going to beg for your attention. I'm going to continue to be who I am. And when I'm not that good, then I pressure myself to make sure that I understand what better looks like. It's a constant, demand and push. Because at the end of the day, whatever you do has to translate into better for yourself and for others. Yeah.
Did you feel that actually, yeah, that story is like getting me to be taking me to a very deep space. Did you feel that the push and the performance and the depth or the excellence, let me call it that black excellence that you had to show up with, was it birthed by that situation or the environment that people don't want to sit with you, or you came with it, or it was elevated?
I think it was put on steroids.
It was put on steroids.
Remember we had a conversation around just me wanting to be independent.
Yes.
And independence for me meant having a job and surviving in, my environment.
Right.
And that was the key driver. But then also the fact that I was raised into a family and an environment where, you know, there was no limitation put on how I should think and project myself. Examples I had from my dad and from my mother was the sky is the limit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do whatever you decide is good for you. So you land in an environment where maybe the lens through which you're looked at is putting you into a box. Everything that I had experienced combined with my upbringing was leading to decide, this is not the box I want to be in.
Right.
It could be that I'm putting myself in a different box or not in a box at all.
Yeah.
But where
But
you
you're
are
not
putting
subscribing
me
to other people's boxes.
is like I'm not there. So that has been, I think, ongoing. I can tell you so many stories about, so one day I go to the Welding Institute. I decided I'm going to do marketing for a
You said,
Welding
yeah.
Institute. Yeah. One of the lady looks at me, real life story, I promise you, looks at me and say, "Oh my God, you remind me of my nanny."
All right. Yeah.
I looked at behind
Great.
and say, maybe she's talking to somebody else, but everything that I am,
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't associate myself to what you are picturing. Yeah.
Right.
And I have a couple of options. Either I decide that I have to explain to you why I'm not the person that you are
Yeah.
associating me with, or I get angry because I make your problem my
Yeah. I take
problem.
offense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I leave you with your problem and your understanding of what the world is, and I decide that I'm going to do strategy for an institution that has never had marketing before, and
Yeah.
that's the challenge I'm taking.
And make
Yeah.
that impact.
And make that impact.
What comes out there is, and we spoke about it before, choice and decision.
Yep.
We in the era now where I am not sure, it seems like there's a lot of shaping around what people say about me and how people react when they see me. So I can imagine maybe during cafeteria time, it was just you on the table, but you decided and you made a choice. When you got home, did you shed a tear, or what gave you strength to go back tomorrow and still say, I am going to be comfortable in my own woman and black self? What happened behind the scenes?
That's a good question. There's definitely an acknowledgement that it is tough.
Yeah.
There is probably an acknowledgement that what you have to face or overcome is not a small thing. Yeah. There is a lot of strategizing to decide how best to position yourself and protect yourself from feeling not adequate.
Right.
You know, that feeling of not being adequate is something
Right.
that is also I
Yeah.
had to deal with quite a lot. Because you have very good understanding of what is expected of you. You have to have a good understanding of who you are, and then you have to make a decision on how you want to be and show up. And in many instances, it was not being visible, but I'm going to show you what I can do.
Yeah.
And that's not the easy way.
Yeah, it's a long way,
It's
actually.
a long
yeah,
way.
sometimes even the display of what you've done,
Can be
yeah, arrives late.
misrepresented,
Exactly, yeah.
overlooked, and that's a tough road. And you need to evolve and pivot into deciding how do I become more visible without necessarily changing, being true. The question is, how do you remain true to yourself
Yeah. How do you remain true to yourself?
and authentic?
Yeah. Yeah.
And authenticity for me is very, very important.
I when I in the work that I do, there's a part around fulfillment, what fulfillment means to individuals. And I'm reminded by the point that you're raising. One of there's three things. There's you true to yourself, and you don't betray who you are, and what you do, you know that it will still give you peace even if nobody loves it or likes it or acknowledges it.
That's a key.
Yeah.
And it helps you keep the North Star. It's not the easy way.
But you have to stand the ground.
It's not the easy way.
So would you say to us as, Africans, that by the time you had to face those rejections, for lack of a better word, where people feel that because of that color, I'm not interested, or because of that gender, would you say that the knowing who you are and saying that I am going to make a choice to still be me starts earlier in life, or you have to reinvent it or invent it at that point? So what's the work that we need to do as we go? Because some of the people that want to be Aida, they want to know when to start to lay the foundation that is solid enough that when tested, it will stand the test of time.
I always say it starts at home. And
At
I think
home.
as parents, there's a very, very, very important role that we play in driving that. When I talk about pride, I'm always very careful.
Yeah.
Because I want to make sure that it doesn't come across as arrogance and, lack of empathy and lack of openness, towards other people, culture, of, viewpoints and whatnot.
Yeah.
For me, it's about being grounded and being very clear about your strength,
Yeah.
but also your weakness.
Yes.
And being prepared to deal with it. As I raise my child, and I find it very difficult, because I'm like, you need to be proud of yourself and who you are, but don't be arrogant. Be
How to
open and
make-
be humble enough to understand and get feedback and better yourself. So it's like,
What do you give and what do you take?
what you give and what you, but that, being solid on your ground, understanding your culture, your values, where you come from. When we leave, the South Africa, and we go back to Niger, where my mom comes from. My son is under the sun with the mosquitoes, and with his cousins, and goes to the farm with his grandfather when he was still alive, and experience that life. But you have to be proud of it. It's different. It's probably less convenient and less glorious, but it is what it is. And it's a way of life that you need to understand and acknowledge exists. Yeah, and be proud of it.
I had a problem with that. And I guess what I'm also picking up is that from your parents, you also had an assurance of who you are.
Yeah.
So I had access to my mom, not so much to my dad, but to his mother. But that assurance of that grounded me was not there. And I think that's probably the part that got the confidence disappearing, because I was like, I'm not sure whether I'm sure about being sure.
But that's a very important point, because I can rationalize everything I'm telling you right now, reflecting back on
yeah.
the journey.
Yeah.
But I did not feel confident. You know, I was going through questioning. You know, when you are facing, you know, a new environment, you know
Yeah.
that you need to adjust, but you don't
Yeah.
know that the choices that you've made are linked to your how grounded you
You
are and
are.
how you were raised, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're still not so sure, but you're moving and you're tackling it with strength and assertiveness. It doesn't feel great as you are
You're
assertive
doing it.
and you are doing
Yeah.
it and whatnot. But as you reflect back and you look at your journey, you're like, oh my goodness, this girl was on point.
So at that time, you were exposed to what, 3, 4 countries in
Yeah.
Africa.
Yeah.
Do you remember what you took from each of those that made that grounded, whatever?
Yeah.
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 So Niger,
Senegal,
Senegal,
Mali.
Ethiopia,
Yeah.
Mali. Yeah. Was there any, maybe one of each? I mean, yeah.
One of which would be tough because from a value system,
It's
they're kind of similar.
similar. Yeah.
They materialize probably differently,
Different. Sure. Okay.
but kind of similar. And I think some of the key takeaways are respect, respect for elders
Elders. Yeah.
and others. There is, you have a role to play for your community. It's not about you, yourself, and yourself. You're part of a bigger piece, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you need to understand how
Yeah.
your role impacts the bigger piece. That's for
How
me was
each joint supplies. Yeah.
yeah. So you can't pretend to be out there and thinking about yourself. You know, you exist. It's a kind of the concept of Ubuntu that I
Exactly.
love a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
That you have
Absolutely.
here.
Yeah.
It's like I am
Because we are.
because you are and because we are. I think that was very loud and clear. I got a sense of the power of the community.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
you celebrate together.
Yeah.
You know are in sorrow together.
I think so. I think Africa stands
Yeah.
out when it comes to that.
And I think that's very, very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. From Ethiopia, Ethiopia is very different from, you know, the West Africa part. So you kind of have to be relevant. You kind of have to adjust and be flexible. I think at the end of the day, we're human beings.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it true that well, I once said it to another African greatness, and he said the answer is no, but I'm going to ask you that I mean, Ethiopia is the only African country that was never colonized. Is it the only one?
There are many countries in the continent.
Okay.
Let me put it like this, that are very proud of their history and their heritage.
Right.
You know, where, let's say, there may have been no colonization
Right.
or very little,
Very little, yeah.
but the sense of self and pride
Pride,
is
yeah.
taken to a very, very high level.
And Ethiopia is one of them.
Ethiopia is definitely one of them.
I think that's what then you took along when, like, okay, you don't want to sit with me? I'm good. I'm proud of who I am.
You just have to yeah, probably you're probably right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because I think every country is got that one thing that
Ethiopia
I think
definitely
shows
has
up.
that.
Yeah.
Definitely has that. But the other piece I would say, not but
And yeah.
yeah, is that you can be open to another culture,
Okay. Yeah.
but it doesn't take anything
away from you.
So I love injera, the Ethiopian food.
Right.
I love it. I get to the airport at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm not hungry, but I will go for
Yeah.
because it's part of
Yeah.
my upbringing
Yeah.
there. I wear a lot of Ethiopian clothes, but it makes me richer. It
Ah.
doesn't take anything away from Mali, Senegal, my, original upbringing.
Wow. I love the rich part because this
Yes.
is Think and Grow Rich,
Yeah.
just to display that riches comes
Yes. Yeah.
in different ways.
Yeah.
And then when did the real career start?
Ooh.
The one that has become so rich,
Ooh.
more rich.
I had a lot of not so rich
Parts of the.
roles. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But I think it shaped me. I can talk a little bit. I think it's important also to talk about it because,
Please. Yeah.
you know, people don't understand why you are
Who you
who
are.
you are and where you
What
are.
makes greatness?
Yes, and I
Yeah.
think sometimes
Exactly.
it takes not
Let's just take
so
our
great
time.
roles.
Yeah.
So, for example, many people do not know that after I graduated from my MBA, I turned out to be a nurse's aide,
A what?
nurse aide.
Wow.
So I was in New York, decided that I wanted to stay there and explore opportunities, but needed to make a living. The surest way to secure enough money at the time was to be in the medical field, and the fastest pace to get there was to become a
A
nurse aide.
nurse.
So
Wow.
strong of my MBA, I went for a nurse's aide certificate and diploma, which I got from the state of Connecticut, and helped, elder people, and was in somebody's house supporting and helping as a nurse aide.
Why
Going
did
back
you
to
choose
my
that?
father's, you know, mantra, which is, first of all, if you can do more, you can do less,
Right.
which is a very important one. So
If you can do more, you can
you
do
can
less.
do less. If you can have a degree, an MBA, you can
Ah,
certainly get
this is profound.
a certificate in nurse aid. And if this is what you need to do the right thing and survive, and so you have to do it. Point number one. Point number two, if you choose to be a nurse aide, regardless of your diplomas and stuff, you have to do it as best as you can do it, as if your life depended
On it.
on it. And the person I took care of, the kids had no clue that I had a MBA.
MBA.
All they knew was that I was a nurse aide, and I was taking care of their mother as if it was my grandmother.
Wow.
As simple as that. I chose to do this. It was not necessarily on my trajectory, but I'm going to do it as best as I can. Simple.
There must be something. I did ask you about your purpose, and in the process, I kept on picking up impact and added community. Now I'm finding something else. So was nursing aid the only path that you could choose for the less, because you've already done more for the less? Was it the only one, or were you drawn by something more purposeful to it than, I'm just asking.
It's a very deep question to which I probably do not have the answer now, but I believe that there is a bit of truth in
Yeah.
what you're asking, and because at the end of the day, to do it to the best of my ability,
And you enjoyed it.
It was tough, but I did it with commitment because I knew I was helping somebody, probably.
Okay. So it sounds like that impact, even if it's not the easier way out,
Yeah.
you will do it because of that impact. And the impact is not to systems and all of that,
No.
although your environment, had been in that, but it's to be to the person that
To the
receives
person.
it. Hence, even in the first part,
Very true.
it was really to the people on the ground
Absolutely.
that actually end up receiving that impact.
Because the
If you
person
ask
needed
me,
support.
if I was you in New York, nursing aid was not going to be in my list.
I hear you. I hear
Because
you.
it is, I know inside of me, that's not my strength.
It
And
could be. You could surprise yourself.
ooh, my mother was a
If
nurse, and looked from a distance, I was like, not blood.
you could surprise yourself if this is what it takes for you to survive and be dignified. I was living in Roosevelt Island at the time, which was one of the most upscale neighborhoods. I was splitting an apartment with friends there or roommates, but I just wanted to have that safety standard,
Yeah.
even if it meant working and doing a job
Yeah.
that was not necessarily my first choice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you can do more, you can do less.
Definitely.
I'm taking that from your father. I'm
Definitely.
grabbing it. I'm running with it.
Yeah.
It is almost like labor of love,
Yeah.
I guess. A calling that is not defined by what you've got. Again, in the book Think and Grow Rich, there's one of the principles says specialized knowledge. How I bring that in my work, I would say, once you know what your purpose is, then you develop yourself for your purpose. So you must acquire certain skills.
Yeah.
But I never thought that you can actually subdevelop something. That part, if you can do more, you can do less. But it's an
again,
expression.
we need to be careful not to sound condescending because
Exactly.
these roles are
As-
critical.
yeah, yeah,
It's important.
absolutely.
But it's just to say you kind of have to adjust.
Adjust.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, it sounds like if you have an opportunity to serve and make an impact, you would do it no matter how it's packaged.
Yes. I like that a lot.
Yeah. Because I think
like that.
you keep on following on how do I make an impact
Yes.
to a person.
To a person, to
Yeah.
a region, to a
Yeah.
community. There's got to be something beyond you.
Yeah.
It's not how I feel or how hard I work. As long as you,
Yeah, you're making that impact.
yeah,
That's been the theme.
yes.
And it looks like it's still the theme even up to now. It
till now.
remained the theme.
I think we have to play our part.
I have this in the Bible. There's right at the beginning that's that mandate given to human beings that says, "Be fruitful
Yeah.
and multiply and have dominion."
Yeah.
So I start then saying, before it becomes a fruit, it has to grow the tree, right? But then the tree doesn't benefit from the fruit. It's other people that benefit from the fruit. But that tree needs to make sure that whatever it carries can produce after its own kind, which is now the multiplication. So what you carried as a tree, some people needed to,
Yeah.
get the fruits, benefit from the fruits, and wow.
It's a beautiful way of putting it. I would not have thought about it, but it's a beautiful way.
So you've been fruitful. There's benefits. There's fruits that people have been eating from this tree. Comes back to being great.
Oh, the interesting part is that you don't realize that you're giving fruits.
Yeah.
That sometimes it's interesting is that when people eat the fruit, they come back and say, "Look at how helpful you've been," and
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
it can be powerful.
Yeah. And again, if we look into what's happening today, there's a lot of me, myself, and I.
That's
And I guess again, an Africa thing is we've never been about me, myself, and I. But we might be borrowing what we shouldn't borrow.
I agree.
And these are the conversations that have to remind us of what
Absolutely.
make greatness. It is not me, myself, and I. It's that community.
and we need to uplift each other.
Yeah.
We need to uplift each other in ways that people don't understand. And I believe that today we remain too fragmented. I come from here. You know, I'm South African. No, I'm from this tribe.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And that's not how the world is necessarily
No.
looking at us. And if I uplift you and you as a woman
Yeah.
are able to take on a bigger role or bigger responsibility and blossom and be able to be an example for another five, young girls, think how powerful it is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's the PhD, pull her down, that people are getting more and more qualified for,
Yeah, yeah,
which I think we probably should have a pull her up
yeah.
kind of qualification.
Yeah.
What happened after the nurses? You stayed in New York and
So it's been an interesting trajectory of taking on different roles, yeah, ranging from retail, sales in a retail organization, then joining a partner at the time where the telephony, the mobile services were growing, and we started a company that was providing all of the supply to national organizations, mainly in West Africa, ranging from the phone themselves to the infrastructure, the technical stuff. So this is where I learned what it is to be self-employed and
also
leading.
you were an entrepreneur at
Yeah,
that time.
entrepreneur.
Okay. Based
In New York.
okay.
Doing bidding offers for
Yeah.
national companies and stuff. So you learn to be an accountant, you learn to be a
Yeah, everything.
salesperson, you learn to be HR, you learn that you're not paid until everything else in the company is taken care of. Learned a lot. Learned a lot, and probably learned about what being resilient, means. We got to a point where there was a misalignment in terms of where to carry
The next chapter.
next chapter and how to structure the organization, and agreed to disagree.
Yeah.
And then found an opportunity starting to work with Western Union. And it's very interesting because this is probably the job for which I had the most interviews, because the head of the organization at the time kind of saw something in me, but I didn't have like the traditional trajectory that they would have for such type of roles. But I knew Africa, was from Africa. Uh, so I interviewed with her probably 3-4 times. Interviews with so many different peoples, but ended up, it's a combination probably of luck and
charisma.
life. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
And started there, and this is where all the knowledge about corporate America, shaped.
Yeah.
I was working under a gentleman that shaped me. It was tough learning, all the way from writing a proper memo,
Days of memos.
writing, understanding your positioning and how you say could be perceived, and to learning the business itself, to deciding, understanding the notion of image and brand within an organization, making very, very bad mistakes and surviving it, and going back and saying, am I relevant? Am I
Doubting yourself.
Yeah. But he played a very, very important role in not looking at the mistakes only,
This is your lead,
this is
the leader
the
that,
leader
yeah.
at the time, and just teaching me sometimes through tough methods. But I think this has been critical
Sure.
for me to grow and learn and yeah, remain there. So I grew in the organization, and that's very, very funny because I don't know if it's still relevant today, but just doing my stuff. So went from assistant marketing manager to marketing manager to marketing director to adding on, so many responsibilities. But in my case, which is probably a bit different from what needs to happen today, um, didn't have as an objective to become so and so. So
Okay.
it was more
You just did what you needed to do.
what
Like
I
you
needed
always
to do.
say,
Yeah.
do it the best.
And then somebody would turn around and say, but hey, look at what's happening. And then so
They promote you.
they would promote me. They would come and sit into an office and say, by the way, you're going to be promoted manager. Oh, really? My goodness, this is going to be like,
Now
my God,
another.
another
Yeah.
responsibility, and figuring out what it meant. And so it was a little counterintuitive. And I know that nowadays, it's different. You need to be clear about own your career. But the
Yeah.
piece that I want to kind of hold on to today is before you start orchestrating, you just need
Those
to be good
objectives. Yeah.
at what you do.
At
Just
what?
deliver.
Yeah.
And this is very aligned with one of what one of my mentor used to say is like, before I can listen to sophisticated strategy and everything, just deliver your number and deliver on what you have to do.
Yeah.
Then I'll listen to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've experienced as well as an executive, you now and again will get on these graduates, very educated,
Yeah.
sometimes more educated than us.
Yeah.
Day one, they find they do all the admin.
Yeah.
By day two, they need to be in the CEO's office
Yeah.
and have a strategic conversation. So I kind of struggle a little bit, but as you say, these days it might be different.
It might be different.
And I'll be like, are we already there
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
We've passed all the levels and all of that.
Yeah.
So that's one part. But what I'm also hearing from what you're saying is you did the best that you can where you were at. You were in the present moment.
Yep.
And did the best and gave it the best,
Yep.
became the tree. Either you give the fruit or you're a shadow or you're a home to the bed.
Yeah.
Just did that and the rest defined itself.
Yeah.
I am finding, and I might be generalizing, that these objectives, they're good to have. I mean, I teach them have goals, have plans, have this and all. They're good to have. However, I think sometimes the focus is more on those than on me being me.
Yeah. You're spot on. Yeah. There's got to be a balance. And, that authenticity part for me is key. So, but there is a pendulum around that and how it is valued
Yeah,
in
yeah,
organizations and
yeah.
in the world. Power, strength, presence, money, and whatnot sometimes prevail, and there's a lot of focus on
Responsibilities sometimes.
how I say things as opposed to what I say and how is it relevant. But
Perceived,
again,
yeah.
there's got to be a balance between
Right.
meat, authenticity, and whatnot, and being visible and pushing an agenda and being intentional about where you want to go. But from the experience I have, if you over-index on the latter and just focus on networking, focus on being visible, focus on orchestrating, and not necessarily have the depth, the belief, the experience and knowledge, then something necessarily breaks down the road. That's what I've been able to observe.
So you always just need to balance.
Balance and have, the
Yeah. You mentioned made a lot of mistakes. I guess when we're up there and we all look good and great as we call ourselves, we sometimes don't want to show up in like we made mistakes. What was the do or die mistake that you would have done at least? But and how did you get up? Was there a do or die mistake?
There are so many. So many. It would be so difficult.
Choose one.
The good thing is that when you get to a certain stage of your
Yeah.
career and
Yeah. And you've proven certain things.
you talk about your mistakes all the time. You're like,
Yeah.
and you are humble enough to learn from
Yeah.
from your people, but it would be difficult for me to talk about only one. I mean, whew,
Freestyle. Because I think we want to learn from that. We want to hang on to. Yes, I actually I don't have to give up and have a whole lot of mental issues because I've made the mistake and it's should it be the end? But how, so understanding that you being great today, there's been those, we have that opportunity to be empowered.
there are mistakes on the what. There's mistakes on the how.
Yeah.
There are mistakes that you make with people.
Right.
Let me think about it. A couple I can refer to. I keep thinking about maybe one on the what, and it goes back to speaking up,
Yeah.
and it goes back to what you have in your gut. And
Yeah.
we were considering at some point to make a big investment into an organization. I had just joined a company, and when you just arrive, you're like, I need to be humble. I don't
Yeah.
know much about the organization.
Yeah.
I have my experience, my education and whatnot, but you don't know the context
You're
and
still
everything.
checking the landscape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we started discussing and investing time and strategizing about investing into a company. It was significant investment, several millions of dollars that are. And as a newcomer, I was looking at this thing and it didn't make sense at all. It did not. So I could not wrap my head around why we were doing it. And I was surrounded with super, super smart people.
And you're like, they would have thought about this.
And
They're
I'm
very
like,
smart.
they're seeing something that I'm not seeing, and you need to apply your mind to understanding what it is that's you're seeing and and they're saying and you don't. And then I remember just checking with my own team, and my team was like, Aida, this thing is not for us to be investing in. And then I would go back and talk to the guy in charge of strategy, talk to
Behind the
the
scenes.
scenes and whatnot, and try to figure out, to the point where we had a meeting, given how the whole thing was unfolding, where we had to make a decision on whether we proceed
Or not.
or not.
A go or no go.
Yeah, exactly. One of these things. And I remember I was the only one to say, we shouldn't go for it. I don't see it. And there was a whole machine, and here people were looking and almost saying, but
We've come this far.
we've come this far, you're new, you're not seeing things, so almost like. And I decided to disagree and commit. And several years later,
What you had seen, wow.
and it's where you're like, you need to speak up, You
Yeah.
need to have the courage. You have to articulate, and even if you're the only one, you know,
Yeah.
just not believing into something, and you follow your guts, you have to stick at it.
Yeah.
It was a massive, massive investment that required a lot of our energy to bring it to life, and
And it took years to come to.
it did never came to life. And we had to strategize more around how do we limit our exposure, as opposed to how do we grow this thing and make it like a winning proposition for everyone.
At what point, and maybe in which organization amongst the ones you've really served, was it easier to be a Black woman, a leader?
Never. Let me be honest with you.
I was hoping.
Never.
Never
Never.
easier.
Because you put into that box and
Yeah.
paradigm, and you face situations, especially when you work in Africa
Yeah.
and when you don't speak up, where people think they have the authority to come and tell you what life is about.
They must and want to tell the story of Africa to an African, but they're not African.
So I could tell you so many stories that are
So how do we exert ourselves? Is it probably maybe do we look at the external part of being a Black woman in the boardroom, or we have to hold on to the internal part? And
I think it's critical to understand the rules of the game.
yeah,
I, and not the game as in something that is not rule, but how decisions are made. What are the criteria to push a specific agenda? How do you become, corporate savvy and, you know, remain authentic to yourself, but leverage, assets and support and lobby and rally people around you, which are things that we don't necessarily know how to or want to do because we want to get the job done, and you want to focus on
yeah,
what matters
yeah,
most. But sometimes what matters most is not what you think it is.
yeah,
you know
yeah,
so you can remain authentic, you can push your agenda, you can, but understand who you need to bring along with you, what is driving that individual and or groups of individual, and how
exactly.
do you package
Yeah,
your opportunity and what you see and what because you live in a specific environment, or you lead a specific region, or you are under your specific circumstances. But it's really about how do you navigate and make sure that
and
your
take
voice
people
is
with,
heard. Yeah. Take people along with you. Yeah.
mastermind alliance is what I think of as like, how do I work? I always I call it, how do I use other people's brains to actually
Yep.
reach the objectives that I've got? And again, it brings back that sense of community.
Yeah.
Which of the organizations have you spent the most time with? I know this recent one is like,
Yeah, several years, but I'd say probably Western Union in
okay,
different countries.
oh,
Yeah,
because
in
you were,
different roles,
yeah,
because I was in marketing first. I was
so
in the
you
US,
moved
then
around
moved to
within, yeah,
Morocco, then took on more of a P&L responsibility. Started with a smaller region and expanded to a bigger. So it was
yeah.
multi-year journey.
How is Africa understood, or how, maybe the question is, how do we get Africa to be understood and served in an African way by the, Fortune 500s that are saying
Yeah.
we're saving Africa?
Yeah, I can only speak through my own lenses, right? Which
Yes,
would be like, maybe uncalled for generalization, but
yes,
it
yes,
gives a
of course.
perspective.
Exactly, yeah.
Um, I think generally speaking, people see Africa as a land of opportunity, yeah, because from there's a lot that needs to happen and needs to be done when you think of be it access to utilities, access to digital payments, access to education, access to anything you look at. There's a lot of opportunity for additional traction. Land of opportunity simply because how vibrant
Yes.
the continent is,
Yeah. Yeah.
From a youth perspective, creativity, and energy
Yeah.
standpoint. Yep. I think it is perceived loud and clear. I think that there is a lot of preconceived ideas that the continent sometimes does not know what it needs to get to the next level. Yeah.
From the continent
From the
outside.
continent out.
Okay. Yeah.
And how outside looks at us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you what better looks like for you, kind
Yeah.
of thing. And because I believe sometimes we don't do a good job, a compelling job at articulating
Our own story.
our
Yeah.
own aspirations,
Yeah.
and sometimes our trajectory. So to go to point A, from point A to point B, can look very different depending on your circumstance,
Yeah.
just depending on
Yeah.
your journey and whatnot. And maybe your point B is different from my point B. But it will still be a compelling trajectory.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that part is sometimes missing. I think you would be surprised, and I can say it now, at the lack of awareness and the lack of understanding
Of our continent.
of our continent. And it goes from genuine lack of knowledge to sometimes
Pure
arrogance
yeah.
and condescendence and
Right.
and sometimes, very interestingly, you feel guilty when you point out
who we really are.
yeah, and you're like, you have a problem with how you're looking at our continent. Yeah.
That's, I think, I'm hoping that we are getting to a point where we also love ourselves.
Yeah.
We also love our continent and follow what, people like yourself who had to stand for us out there. But when we show up, we don't bear witness to what you would have been doing there. I guess we probably maybe, and I'm hoping that it is conversations like this that will give us the perspective of, not undermining ourselves, but also understanding
What good
that when
looks like.
what good looks like, that when you
Great
carry the
looks like.
torch for us,
Yeah.
what is it that we need to do from it
Absolutely.
as Africans, so that it will get much more easier
Absolutely.
for you to move with the
To
torch.
drive our own
Yeah.
agenda. Yeah.
So the impact, where we are today, where are we today in this career life? And then we'll just
That's an interesting question, because after the many, many years of driving financial inclusion in different
Yes.
capacity in the continent, I'm at a point where I've taken a break.
Yeah.
Taken a break to reflect on what the next phase of impact will look like for me. Also take time for my family, because
Yes.
it's been just crazy to manage a very rich portfolio of countries, and with all the diversity it entails, but such a joy.
Yeah. To have
Such a
made
joy
that
to have
decision.
made the decision, yeah, to
It was 7 years with
Yeah.
with visa.
with visa.
How was
Incredible
that? How
years.
was that? And you've just used the word that really excited me now. But financial inclusion.
Yeah. It was a journey. It was an exhilarating journey because when you get it right, the way you impact people, and when I say people is with a big P, yeah, it could
Yeah.
be a merchant, it could be the consumers,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
could be
yeah.
your financial
Yeah.
institutions, it could
Yeah.
be the fintechs, yeah,
Yeah.
is very, very powerful. I promise you. It's one where, we were looking at COVID and the impact it had, yeah. And you realize that the companies, the small businesses that were digitally enabled or was accepting digital payment and were able to go online
Yes.
were the most resilient. Were the most resilient.
During COVID.
Yep. Because then you expand your offering, you have access to more consumers.
Oh,
People do not have to go to your store
right.
to purchase whatever you are selling, but from the convenience of their home, they could make purchase and then you would accept
Yeah.
a credential online because, there were on a gateway that was accepting, digital payments or e-commerce. And so very, very powerful if you're able to do that. So when you are a fintech that a global organization, a global platform like Visa would onboard you, think about the access
That you have.
that you have in terms of solutions, capabilities, partners. It was a powerful engine, eh? And if you are successful at bringing it together, then you're a force for transformation and you're a force for impact, yeah?
Right.
And that was exhilarating. But I
Your
have to tell you, and I'm
Yeah.
sorry I'm
No, go
interrupting,
ahead.
the real joy,
Yeah, I wanted to go ask that.
the real joy is working with so many talented people. And I know a lot of people say people is the key, it's like
The asset of
politically
the
correct. But when you sit with somebody at 2 o'clock in the
in the
morning,
morning. Wow.
that the person thinks it's urgent to call you because she wants or he wants to do good
Yeah.
for clients,
Wow.
there's nothing beats that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Then you know
when,
you've got more than what is a team.
thank you. When the person, comes and sits in front of you and say, I've tried like so many things.
Yeah.
Is there any other way? That drive,
At 2 a.m.?
that
Yeah. Well,
understanding that they need to reach out to find another path forward,
yes.
you can't beat that. You become an enabler, right? But that urge and that willingness to, support the partners to implement a new solution or whatever, you can't beat that.
You, you were this last role, you were vice president of, I don't know, many words come after that. I only found vice president is easier. It's everywhere. Every country has one. So
There you go.
I chose that one. Um, did it? What platform did it give you when it comes to? I'm gonna talk about again the financial inclusion, but specifically to youth and women, and maybe rural areas. Is
Yeah.
the maybe yeah
Yeah. These roles you gives you visibility. It gives you visibility, but it's a lot of responsibility.
yeah
And then if you keep again in mind that you are to drive transformation for the continent and you look at where the biggest opportunities and gaps are, it's in the rural areas.
yes
It's with the young population
yeah
that is finding new ways to connect,
right
be part of the gig economy and all
yeah
that. So how
yeah
do you,
yes
support them in the creative industry, music, culture? how do you service them, differently and better. um, and that gender gap, there's been so many studies about, the impact of women entrepreneur,
Yes.
how they are underserved in having access to technology, to resource, to knowledge. And if you keep in mind the North Star of transformation, then you have to make sure that you're intentional about addressing these pieces. And the good news is, the you can put in place specific programs. You can work with your partner to channel, energy and support. I can think of a program, in the context of visa that is called She's Next, and where together with partners you make knowledge and resources available to women. You put women entrepreneur into context, and this is where you see their energy, their creativity, the boldness on how they tackle industries and opportunities in ways that are mind blowing. In some cases, they would look at cooked oil that they
Wow.
will transform into fuel. Think about that. They would um, go into leveraging an opportunity where they have acne
Yeah,
and
yeah,
build a
yeah.
business
And
from there,
right.
because they understand that they need to look at natural products and they apply it on their face. They get into producing, the cream and whatnot, and realizing that it worked and it addresses the acne, the kids' acne or whatever, and then turn that into a business. We've seen that in Kenya. The, the energy is like
So
unlimited.
is it like a foundation,
So it's a specific program, not
or it's just a
necessarily a
program?
fund. Yeah,
Okay.
that we chose to implement and orchestrate with together. It was a global one,
Yeah.
yeah, and we chose to adapt it and
Look, yeah.
implement it, localize it for
For
Africa.
Africa.
But the people you come across with or to or are just amazing,
So when you go,
incredible.
wow, when you go there, you like, I'm a visa, but then by the time you get to the end of the story, you are that woman that again goes back to what's in your heart, making that impact.
Making that impact, and you're like, wow, I need to make sure that I enable. I need to
Yes.
make sure that my team sees how great
Yeah. Yeah.
Africa is. Then you go and talk to them regulators and say you need to put in place the proper
Yeah.
programs to drive access and make sure that we digitize payments and all that. So
Wow.
it's
Yeah, no, quite. She's next. I'm gonna look it up.
yep.
What's the legacy throughout this very rich career? Now that you've taken a break and you kind of like checking what's the next step. It's another she's next one. What's next for she? But what's the legacy that you are leaving behind in in this corporate journey that you've had for, it sounds like, so probably more than 30 years career?
I think that Africa matters.
Yeah. Wow.
That Africa matters maybe differently from the rest of the world. And like we used to joke about it, like every single region prides itself in being different, but from a corporate perspective, you have to have like
A continental, yeah.
yeah, one strategy.
Or you
But
can have like an EMEA
yeah,
strategy. Yeah.
or but we matter differently. Um, but I hope that the biggest legacy is with people and believing in
Yeah.
themselves
Yeah.
and trusting themselves to drive the right agenda
Right.
for them. I've been particularly demanding and tough in mapping out what good looks like and probably what better
Yeah.
looks like and what great looks like. But you know, I remember one of my colleagues telling me as we were doing one of the farewells, she was like, you have no idea how you made me feel. You made me feel like $1 million.
Oh,
Because I would go and present her as my boss
wow.
to CEOs,
Yeah.
to
Oh.
governors and members of the government. And she's like, you have no idea about what it meant to me. But I meant it because she was like making sure that I was doing the right thing. And I needed to make sure that I, represented her
Wow.
work
Wow.
properly. So when I
Wow.
said she was my boss,
Yeah, you meant
I
it.
meant it. But she's like, you have no idea. I just wanted to make sure
Yeah.
that, you were taken care of
Yeah.
and represented.
Right.
And yeah, but that's important.
So they say people will remember how you made them feel. I
Yeah.
guess that's the legacy.
Yeah.
And you are in a joyful space with this time that you've taken off.
It's an interesting space. Joyful, I'm not so sure. And I promise to be authentic and real.
Yes.
I am at a point where I can make decisions for myself
Yeah.
and decide on the trajectory.
Yeah.
But I'm also at a point where there's a lot of questioning
Yes.
of how to channel the love for the continent, how to channel everything that I've learned and everything that I
Right.
know,
Yes.
and how to continue to have impact in a way that is meaningful for everybody.
We are definitely going to be watching the space on how you continue to impact the continent, because that's what you have been doing. I suppose the questioning is not only now. The questioning started when you had to make a decision. A lot of our great people or great aspirers, those that aspire to be great, they battle with making certain decisions, especially the bold decision of, I'm going to get out of this Fortune 500 and I'm just going to sit and step back a little bit. What happened during that time? How did we get to make that decision? What did we have to accept that even if it's not fine, it's fine not to be fine?
Yeah. Another very deep question, Lerato, I have to say. I guess what was clear was what I no longer wanted to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clear.
Right.
What was difficult to battle with, and I had to battle with and wrestle with, was leaving the part that I loved, and not having any plans for the future. Because all along, I knew what the next step was going to be, kind of.
Yeah.
Especially at a point of transition, I'm leaving this because I'm going to be doing this.
That. Yeah.
This was like, lady, do you know that you have no plans, but you need to be okay with it because you've prepared for it. You know that this is the right thing to do. And that was probably the toughest.
Especially because you have lived your life with the plan of a plan of a plan of a
Absolutely.
plan. So for me, it's like you're crossing the river of change. One of the things that I do in my work is like, what do you do when you're crossing the river of change? And you're crossing, but there's a lot of unknown that side, but you're comfortable that
Going that journey.
I'm going that journey. It's almost like
Absolutely.
planning to do nothing on a day, but at least that's a plan. It is to do
Absolutely.
nothing, right?
Absolutely.
How would you want to wrap this first part of you've just now, because it's only a few months now that you are in this unknown as you're crossing the river of change. What is it? Take us to this world now.
I would say it's a word of intensity.
Yeah.
Intensity, but good.
Yeah.
And it's a world of being in the moment
Yes.
and learning to be
Present. Yeah.
in ways that are just incredible. In the first days and weeks, I was walking and doing my walks, to keep moving,
Yeah.
and I could see things I had never seen.
Seen in a law. Oh.
I could smell
Ah.
things that I had never smelt.
And you've been walking though.
And I had been walking the
Wow.
same path for years.
It's being present.
It's being in the present. I could have like a proper conversation with my son without being interrupted.
Yeah.
Or at the same time, I was sending an email or responding to an urgent. And that for me was very, very important, was like very surprising.
Wow.
Yeah.
It is to see the things that were there but were not there
Or
before.
that was not there.
Just because we are not present.
Yeah.
That is quite rich. I can't wait for the rest of the journey. What I'm taking out of this is if you have more, if you can do more, you can do less. And still staying with being or daring to be remarkable.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
wow, yeah. Wow. Thank you so much for
you.
for the for taking us into your heart,
Thank you.
taking us into your space, and really understanding again what are the other things that make greatness. I don't see a bed of roses, but I see a bed of roses that have thorns, but we then choose to pick the roses and leave the thorns. And sometimes the thorns are required for different reasons. So yeah, I really appreciate the time we've spent together.
Thank you.
We have come to the end of this conversation with greatness, and you have heard a whole lot. There's financial transformation. If you have more, you can do less, but we're still remaining with daring to be remarkable. And being in the unknown can be so peaceful, so calm. You start smelling. Senses are coming back. You going back to the future, to who you were meant to be, but continuing to really understand how we can make an impact and get an impactful journey and life with our guest, Aida Diarra. I thank you. This is Lerato Sithole in Conversation with Greatness from Think and Grow Rich Africa.